Hey there. Are we live?
I think we're live.
Okay, I think we're live. Am I freezing again? Am I am I free? Oh no, I think I'm good. Okay. Welcome everybody to another edition of Voice from Ukraine. It is Thursday. We have a lot to go into. And I apologize for the late start. We've had a little bit difficulties. As you can see, Alexander, we're still trying to get him on from Ukraine. He's been having difficulties. They've been under attack today, Dnieper, Odessa, and we'll go into all of that. But while we're getting Alexander on, I want to start off, Ken, and talk about what's been playing out the past couple of days here between this whole Iran situation, Ukraine, Russia, because it's all intertwined and interconnected. So we had last time I think we spoke several days ago. We were talking about how Trump had his deadlines. Trump put shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They were talking to on the weekend they were reporting that they were going to send in Witkoff and Kushner and start these talks again. And now all of a sudden, instead of all of that happening, we have the Iran leadership, traveling to meet with Vladimir Putin. They wouldn't even meet with the Americans. Just think about it. They would meet in a separate room, but literally traveling to meet with Putin in the Kremlin to get orders to be able to see what to do next. While Trump is now coming out and saying, "Oh, this could go on for as long as it needs to go on."
Yeah, it's bad. And you've heard Trump comparing this to Vietnam and complaining that the media is not giving him enough time or enough credit. He's compared it to World War II. This, of course, after he said this would last a couple weeks. It is not going to last a couple of weeks. Anybody who knows this region, anybody who knows the uncertainties that this kind of conflict injects into decision making knows that it wasn't going to be this simple. And look, as a junior lieutenant 20 years ago, flying missions over the Strait of Hormuz, even I knew, because everybody knew, that that was going to be the first move of the Iranian military and the IRGC. And sure enough, they played that card, and it turns out to be a weapon of mass economic destruction. And they've demonstrated their ability to use it. They really hold the cards now. And I will all but guarantee you that they can weather more economic pain than we can. In some sense,
Oh,
this is going to
absolutely.
be a waiting game. Who breaks first? The problem when you're dealing with a regime like Iran's is they do not care about their people. They do not care about public opinion. They do not care how many people suffer or are killed. As we saw after the uprising in January, they killed tens of thousands of their own citizens. Why do we think economic pressure is going to have the same effect on them that it has on Americans who are rightly complaining about $5 gas?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to use the word spoiled as a bad way, but we are spoiled compared to other countries in the world. I mean, they don't, like you said, they don't care about if they even have oil or gas in their country. They don't care if they have to drink tea and, like, Malcolm Nance says, and sit out there and wait out, because it's a different way of thinking. We here, all of a sudden, if our television goes down for an hour, or if our internet, if we can't get to our phones, or Wi-Fi all of a sudden is not working for 5-10 minutes, all of a sudden we start panicking, we start having a heart attack. So yeah, especially when our gas prices are going up, because we have bills to pay. Most of these countries don't have the
Yeah.
same criteria as we do. Hey, Alexander. I
I
know.
apologize. My
No,
internet's
Oh,
going
good.
nuts. Nothing works.
you don't have to. We were just talking. This is exactly what we were just talking about with Ken, about Iran.
Always,
And
I have three providers, and they're all acting up. So there is a reason for that.
yeah, well, it could be where you're located, Alexander. That could be a reason why it's happening. So how you been, my brother? We were just, me and Ken were just starting off, and we were talking about what this whole meeting that took place in the Kremlin, between the IRGC leadership, the Iran leadership, and what they were meeting. So I have a little scoop to tell you guys, to share with our audience, and that some of my sources have been telling me, guys, is that part of that. So yesterday, Trump had a call with Putin for over an hour and a half, or an hour and a half call. So
What would they talk about?
well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So I don't have the scoop of what everything they spoke about, but I do have a little scoop. The one thing they just spoke about for a while, and this is interesting. Both Alex and Ken, I would like to get your thought on it. Is so what I'm hearing is, first of all, from a source in Russia, I was told that the May 9th is the victory parade coming up for Russia, and I'm being told that because of all of the losses on they're having military wise, forget about people wise, military wise, and equipment wise, on during the war, that this year they're not even going to be really having any military equipment, which is a huge, not, for them, as a symbol of, that's what Trump loved about part of their whole, victory parade, is they showcase all their military. But I'm hearing, because of the war, A, they're having a shortness of military. B, part of the conversation, a long part of it, was to use a distraction of supposed Trump wants to do a peace deal, and Putin is willing to listen to Trump. This is Putin proposing it. So for Trump to look good, like he got some kind of peace deal, and Putin will agree to it, but they'll agree to it only for a few days during the May 9th victory parade. Just like they did last year. Remember last year, the same exact thing happened. It feels like it was yesterday, literally. And last year, guess who was at the parade? Maduro was there. You had Xi there. You had, Maduro's not there. He's in a different place. But I'm just saying to you. So this year, I'm hearing that they're so scared, Russia, that with the attacks, that the Ukrainians and the drones, that they could really mess up the parade, because they're understanding that Trump doesn't have the same control over Zelensky, over NATO, over, it's now starting to hit back a little bit. Who wants to go first with that one? Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead, Alexander.
I'm gonna first of all, hello everybody. This is Alex, voice from Ukraine, from Kiev, from Ukraine. Uh, like I said before, sometimes my connection is even better than Europe, and sometimes everything just goes nuts. Like I said, I have three providers, and they all three went down. I mean, the signal is up, but the connection is not. So anyway, as far as the parade goes, first of all, from my sources, Feso is the only European leader that goes there, after being denied by Poland, Slovakia, and a bunch of other countries to let him fly through. So I guess he finally found a way. Second of all, the parade is they are afraid that during the parade, even if they do put something out, that the drones can hit the equipment. So that's number two. Number three, the ceasefire they offer is as soon as the parade is over, the ceasefire is over. So it's like hello, and the phone call. First of all, in the phone call there was a
Alex, we froze a little bit. Well, Alex's incredible three connections and three Wi-Fi, he figures together. If I can jump in on that one to get.
Lev, I would love your take as an insider to this world on Putin's security posture when he goes out in public like this. I mean, he is almost never out in the open. He's almost always these days under cover of some kind with very tight security. I mean, even celebrities can't get close to him. Only a handful of people in the last couple of years have literally made physical contact with him by touching his hand. That's like a no-no. You're risking your life if you extend your hand just to shake Vladimir Putin's hand. And I'm wondering, in a situation like this, what the policy is. Do you believe the chatter around his body doubles and the idea that for events like this, they may actually put someone else out there? I'm not normally prone to conspiracy theories, but Russia is a whole different ball game, and I actually wouldn't be surprised at all if there's more than one Putin floating around out there, especially for an occasion such as this.
I mean, great question, and I'll break it up in a couple. So, definitely several body doubles. I could tell you for a fact,
Okay.
knowing that just from being around that world, and put it this way, Putin's number four guy, Farhad Akhmedov, was here, and I was introducing him to Trump's world. So, pretty close to that world, have lots of connection there. And I could tell you, after COVID, especially, he went a little bit when it came to meeting
Mm,
and people, and there was more body doubles that were produced during that time frame because he wouldn't have anybody even next to him. But the interesting part I want just to also add to that is just think about what you said, that how rare it is to get to Vladimir Putin, how rare it is to even shake his hand. His own celebrities, but you know who's seen him 7 times, maybe already 8 times? Steve Witkoff.
oh wow.
Steve Witkoff in 1 year has seen Vladimir Putin more than anybody else. And but I could definitely also tell you, and as a somebody that's if you sit down and you take a look at the video of him in Alaska, that was not
Yeah.
the real Vladimir Putin. He would never,
No,
he would never even risk getting arrested. Forget about everything else, like right now, because of all the things flying around. Take a look at the Vladimir Putin in China. Take a look at the Vladimir Putin in Alaska. Take a look at the Vladimir Putin that walks out on the streets. And there, these are all body doubles.
Mm,
Vladimir Putin is paranoid. I'll even tell you, it is so crazy. Vladimir Putin was also very sick. And that a
mm,
lot that there was a time, he had cancer, and all of a sudden those conversations died out, right, Alex? So
yep,
there's, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist in a way, but I need people to understand, and me and Alex always talk about it, that it's not one man. Putin is part of a regime. It's a
mm.
machine. So even if, let's say, I'll give you an example, Putin was to die tomorrow, they could keep up the perception for a very long time because of the way the KGB, because of the body doubles, because, I mean, the FSB, because of the way it's been already going for such a long time, if they needed to. So that's why when it comes to propaganda machine, there's nobody more powerful and stronger when it comes to Russia, when the way they play it. So definitely body doubles. Can't tell you if he's even alive or not. That's how crazy it is. But definitely body doubles. Definitely they have. And
Wow.
if you do some, if you ever have some time, Ken, and you really take a look, and you just sit down and you just take a look, and you will see.
it's not
I
him.
mean, it's not him. Yeah, that 100%. Go ahead, Alex.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
but it's not only that. It's like the root for my sources is there are three towers, three clans more or less that they control, and one of them has access to it. And some sources swear that he's in the freezer a long time ago and just waiting for the right moment to use him as an scapegoat. Some says that he never comes out. That since 2020, since the COVID, he's still
That's what I'm
sitting in the
hearing.
bunker.
That's what I'm
But the
hearing.
real one, the real one, hasn't been seen since the COVID started. I mean, he hasn't been seen.
That's what I hear also.
So, uh,
That's what I hear also. I said since COVID, that, I mean, very few people seen him. I mean, like like when we say he hasn't been seen, we talk about in public. What I'm saying to
yeah,
all
in
of these
public,
public,
yeah,
yeah, in public. But yeah, there are people. He is meeting still. The inner circle is still working. But when they, especially, I love it when you see these special reports on Twitter or something. Oh, Putin is on his way to the Kremlin. You see this. I'm like that, folks. That's not Putin. He is there no way. Whenever and that's where a lot of I think where why Trump fits into this where he fits into this dictatorship role, not because he actually knows how to be a dictator or run a authoritarian, but he knows how to play the role, like the act, like they know. And part of it is propaganda, by using the information, by lying to the people, by confusing him, by throwing so much out there. And if you take a look at what Putin does, or what or what Kim Jong Un does in his country, or these dictators about South America. I mean, it's same routine. I mean, it's they're not reinventing the wheel. It's basically taking away a source of information, which is attacking free media, making a way that you could only get to one source. And if you hear something long enough, and that's why I talk about when people say, "Love," how do you differentiate? Like, why was it a cult? Well, because when you sit there in one place, and the mind is a very powerful thing that we have, and that's why we have such incredible people that could send people to. We just had people go to the moon and back. I mean, and that's because we just think about how incredible our mind is, and this is when we're allowed to expand it, because it could take so much information. But if you do the opposite, and that's why if you put blinders on, and if you walk into a room and all you talk about is this is white, and this is this, and this is this, eventually your mind works the other way, and it starts making you believe those things are so powerful that and that's what the cultism is. And so when you walk in and you're constantly hearing Trump, Fox News, all of these pundits say the same thing over and over, and you don't have another source of information, or you decide not to, eventually you become that brainwashed, and that is the routine they use. And that's why they don't. That's why nobody understands what the truth is, because he constantly lies. But let's do this, guys, because I really want to give people some really insight what's going on in Ukraine. Alexander, if you could bring us up to speed. I know the past couple of days have been from good and bad. Maybe start off with, let's go over the bad stuff first. The attacks on Dnieper and Odessa, whichever one you want to start off first. We have some video here that we could play, and then I'd like to also talk about how some of the new attacks that Ukraine has done on some of the oil facilities. So whatever
Well,
you want to go first.
before you were talking about, I will switch right to it in a second. This last Tuesday, we talked about the danger of war in Europe and everything else, and oil. And today, officially already, there was his name, the drunk. Well, the drunk went on TV, Medvedev, and he
Which one?
was
I was
talking
gonna
the
say
thing.
Hexag.
No,
I was
no,
gonna
no,
say
that
which
not
one of ours
the
were.
Russian drunk, not
We
American.
have because we have said we have
Uh,
Patel, Hexag, Janine Pierre. Just
Different
think
one,
about how many.
Medvedev, the bear, the bear. So he went up today and says, yeah, he says, the SVO needs to be finished, but the reasons why SVO is not completed yet, why it's having difficulties, have to be dealt with. Just listen to this. And we're not planning to fight with Europe or anybody, but the missiles are coming from there, the help is coming from there. So I think the war with Europe is inevitable. That was his speech. And also he says, and we have the right to go anywhere, wherever we have Russian speaking people. He underlined it again. We have the right to go and protect them. So this is not a good
I
thing.
want to. I
And
want
I'll
to.
tell you why it's happening.
Before you go, why it's
Because
happening, Alex.
they,
Before you
again,
go.
as a strength of
Okay.
weakness, you have some videos. As a strength of weakness, there were over 200 targets again last night, and they hit Odessa. They hit Odessa. I mean, in a cowardly way. They hit municipal buildings where people live, the kindergarten. There's like almost 18 people that we know of up to date hurt,
Uh,
but they
uh,
still take. Huh?
I was gonna say, can you, if you could just hold that thought, and I don't want to interrupt you because I want to go into the video of Odessa, but I want
Yes,
to ask,
please.
I want to ask Ken this important question because what
Yeah.
you said, I think, is extremely important. You said, that, and I also believe, and I hear from sources that eventually there will be an attack on a European country, like either a Baltic country or European,
Yeah.
a NATO country, non-NATO country, but there will be an attack. What happens? I mean, like Ken, what is now that we have NATO and all this array, and I mean, obviously, United States is, I mean, happening this. What happens if he does attack? Like, what are some of the options that could play out?
Well, there have already been incursions that we know about when Russian drones overflew Polish territory. They've overflown some of the Baltic states as well. This was last year, and those were not accidental overflights. Those were probing missions, both probing the air defenses of those countries and testing the resolve of NATO to fight back. I think that's something that people need to understand about Russia and Putin. A lot of these provocations aren't just military, they're diplomatic. They're trying to see how much they can get away with. And so they've done overflights of NATO territory to see if we'll push back, to see if the US will register any objection. And the objection came almost entirely from the European countries. And they are preparing for exactly what you're describing, Lev. I mean, if you've been to the border of any one of these Baltic states with Russia, it looks like something out of a World War I battlefield. There are dragon's teeth and barbed wire and trenches. They are ready for what they are afraid is coming. And I mean, the options are are limited, but I think the Europeans are finally getting very serious. And I say that because they are seriously now weighing how to defend themselves without American support. They are turning to the Ukrainians for advice on how to
That's right.
fend off Russian drones. They are investing more in defense than they ever have. I mean, you have some examples of percentage of GDP spending approaching 5%. It's over 3% in European countries now, which is above the NATO target. They are getting ready for this next phase, and I think it's almost inevitable in the sense that Putin has built a wartime economy that absolutely depends on this kind of conflict. They don't really have anything else economically. They don't produce anything except for weapons, infantry, and gas. I mean, Russia is an army with a gas station or a gas station with an army. That's all it is these days, and it has to fight. Now the challenge for us is can we keep that fight to Ukraine and pin them down and beat Russia before it takes that next step and invades another Baltic or neighboring country? I think the Ukrainians are doing a heck of a job of weakening Russia so that it cannot threaten those neighboring countries. But it has every intention of doing that, which it has stated now openly. Ukraine was just going to be step one, always was.
No,
Lev, I'm sorry. Can I add
no,
something to what
continue.
Ken just said?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Alex. Absolutely.
Ken, I agree 100% with what you're saying, and I've seen it on the show. I mean, I've seen what you're talking. This is exactly what's going on. But it's like in that story, Cry Wolf. You know the Cry
Mm,
Wolf, and
The boy that cries wolf.
yep.
well, I'll tell. But this is a little reverse. I'll explain to you why. Uh, over the years, there is an algorithm. If I can talk to Italians, I can talk to Germans, I can talk to Polish, I can talk to a lot of different people. And if I ask them a question, what happens if Russia attacks Europe? What is NATO gonna do? And you know what everybody answers? Nothing.
Mm,
Everybody will say nothing. Like always, they're gonna talk, they're gonna complain, they're gonna. Yeah, I believe the algorithm is changing 100%, and I believe that the Europe is a different animal today. But Russia is so used to that no matter what they do, NATO does nothing. They attacked Ukraine, that so many countries signed to protect, and nobody even lifted a finger except give some money, give some weapons to fight. So Russia believes that NATO is not going to do nothing, and the reason that this is my speed up, because I'm in today's report, I'm going to tell you what Ukraine is doing, and I believe that the Russians are a little bit rushed, because if they wait a little longer, they won't have nothing left to attack with, because they are it's like it's like you have a branch, and the Ukrainians are taking leaf by leaf. So pretty soon it's nothing but a stick. So every day, Ukraine is showing the world that it's a paper bear. It's not a real bear. It's not the bear full of teeth. It might still look like a bear, but it's not the same bear anymore. And they understand that the longer they wait, the less chance they have to strike. And before you know it, there were and like I said the other day, and every day Ukraine and Europe getting closer and closer and closer. So that means the distraction is going to be harder and harder and harder. And at the same time, they at the standstill in the war against Ukraine. They cannot move forward. They in the past week they tried to push in every direction, and they got on guts. They didn't go anywhere. So right, so of course, when
That
you
was a
have a
little
pressure
Italian.
building,
I think
when you have a
Ungats was a
country
little
that's
Italian.
complaining, when you have oligarchs, when you have people are speaking out against Putin already. So when all this is happening, time is of the essence for them. So that's what I said on Tuesday. I say it scares me, because when как будет крыса, Лёва?
Rat.
Right. When a rat is pushed in the corner, it jumps on a human. So that's I believe what's happening. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's a perfect segment. Why don't we put in Nick? Can you show us the attacks on Perm, and Alex, if you could tell, this is
Yeah.
exactly what you were
Oh
talking
yeah.
about.
Oh no. I'm gonna read you the pieces from it. I mean, it's the exact list of it.
Okay, this is. Go ahead, Alex. Why don't you explain to us what we're watching here?
Okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Ukraine is our commander, the drone commander. He says what we're doing right now. He says the only way you can swim through the waters is you have to send the ship that then they will crack the ice and make the path. So what they're doing is every day, at least 200 drones flying out there, and they're making a path. And when they're making a path, like last night, see this? This is everywhere. So Ukrainian forces strike Russian air defense system, ammunition depots, and drone control points. This
Nick,
is
do you have
not
that
already.
drone?
This is not just the oil. So they are taking apart the defenses one by one, and this got to scare them. The general staff of the armed forces of Ukraine reported that
Ебать, вы что
successful
трясете?
strikes were on Russian military over the past day and night, both in occupied territories and inside Russia. So this is like along the report's targets were radar station, air defense command post, ground radar interceptor. So those are the surface to air missile system, ammunition depot, drone command and control points, and the workshops, the factories where they make the drones, and a
Ебать,
command
вы
and
что...
observation post near Donetsk, Zaporozhye, Kursk, Crimea, wherever they are. First, they took the logistics out. We talked about last week that the Ukraine controls logistics around the Donetsk area. So this is like almost blockade, and now they're taking down the defenses. And I believe yesterday our missiles went all the way up as Ural. I mean, we're talking about almost 2,000 kilometers. And our president says this is just the beginning. We're going to go a lot further. So this could explain the reason why they are acting the way they're acting because we are taking them apart. And whenever there is a pressure, you need a release valve. So I believe they are seriously looking for the release valve, and we don't know which way the release valve will go. And I don't think they have any other way with the military, because if they could have used something heavier, something more dangerous, they would have done it already. Because if they hit the people, kindergarten, hospital, nurseries, old people, I mean, this is far worse than missiles. And again, in the past 2 days, yeah, I mean, you see the pictures, you see the videos. They just, it's like a monkey with a grenade. They throw the
Well,
grenade
let's
wherever it falls.
well, let's go video. You're going into let's. I know you got a lot to talk about. Let's take a step back. Let's talk about the video that we're just playing right near, Alex. What are we watching right here? This video right here. We're seeing a drone. This is basically your what you were saying to us is the Ukrainians are. This is a Ukrainian drone hitting a facility, a perm facility in Moscow, which
Yes,
is, and then
yes.
this is
They
exactly.
hit another reservoir, and there are several next to them, so they usually go one after another. In the other place, they said they put out the fire, but the reports are not confirmed yet.
That's
I
the
believe
video
it's
before
still
that.
burning.
Can you put the video before that? Uh,
Please
and that's this one right here, right, Alex?
put it on to see it. Yes, 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 yes. You see there. You see one is burning, and there is one right next to it. And
Yes.
they usually go like dominoes.
Ken, what do you jump in on this one? So this is I mean, obviously, from what we're talking about, Putin being scared of, and asking for a ceasefire, and
Yeah.
Trump now floating a ceasefire. We're seeing nobody's talking. None of the media is really showing and talking about any of this attacks Ukraine is doing, and you're seeing little drones, not ballistic missiles, not
Yeah.
$10 million missiles, but 10, 20 thousand dollar drones that are causing this.
Well, Ukraine is doing this with homegrown technology, which is just extraordinary because it would probably cost us 100 times as much. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it literally cost us 100 times as much to knock Iranian drones out of the air as it's costing the Ukrainians to knock Russian drones out of the air. But they are launching these deep strikes into Russian territory with essentially homegrown technology. It's just astonishing. And there is probably, I mean, it's hard to identify any silver linings in America's betrayal of Ukraine because it brings such shame upon us as Americans. But if there's one, it's the fact that Ukraine has finally stopped asking America for permission. Ukraine has finally stopped deferring to the administration as it had to do for years when considering these kinds of strikes. I mean, there was that time when our condition for giving them HIMARS was insisting that they not hit targets
That's
inside
right.
Russia, even though that's where the attacks were coming from. Well, the gloves have come off. Ukraine has said, if America's not going to be that helpful to us anyway, why are we going to allow them to tie one hand behind our backs? So, what you're seeing now is Ukraine unleashed, Ukraine attacking these targets that support the Russian war machine. We need to point that out as well. While Russia is attacking daycare centers and
Mm,
apartment buildings and things like that, Ukraine is going after the infrastructure that powers the Russian war machine. It is not targeting apartment buildings. And Russia is feeling the hit, even though oil is at historic highs. Russia is still losing money because of Ukraine's attacks on its infrastructure. I mean, overall, we'll see how America's war against Iran factors into the Russia-Ukraine war. It's a strategic mistake for the United States, but it might not be as much of a help to Russia as we feared because Ukraine is just taking the gloves off and hitting everything it can.
I'll
uh,
tell you
uh,
something else. I'm sorry.
uh, no,
I'll
go
tell
ahead,
you
Alex. Go
something
ahead.
else. If you see a bully, you see it in the ring a lot of times. You see a guy comes out that can live half a gym, and you see a guy like this comes out of the ring, and the big guy hits the little guy, and the little guy defends. What usually happens next? The little guy starting to hit the big guy. And it's only a matter of time. But when your defense becomes successful, and with your defense you're starting to hurt the offense, what happens next? You go on the offense.
I
And
love
I
your
think they're
analogy.
afraid of them more than anything.
I love your analogies, Alex. No, I agree with you. It's it's definitely fighting back on a bully. But I want to. I think it's a good segment for us to switch into, because what Ken said is extremely important. What you've been saying all the time. We just watched the video you just saw there, folks. Is strategic attacks. Ukraine using strategic attacks on attacking. What did you see? Gas facilities, oil facilities. You didn't see people burning. And on the flip side, I think it's important for you to see it, because to understand what happened the past couple of days, how Russia attacks Ukraine, what you do see, and that's called terrorist attacks. If you could play, let's do the Donetsk first videos. If you could play them, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll get to the Odessa one. But I want to show you the difference in what we've seen warfare, where we're attacking, oil facilities, and this is the middle of town. The middle of town, you saw Iranian jihad while people are walking. Just hit that.
There's a video there also. It just falls.
Yeah. No, we have more video we're gonna show. So play
There
the
you
next
go.
clip. Play the next clip. That was the video. That was after that Shihad drone hit. During the day, middle of daylight, people walking around. No military facilities, as you can see here. No gas facilities. No infrastructure. This is people, little terroristic attacks going on right now. Nick, I think we got one more. You got one more there?
Yeah, there was a video there. Should be like.
Oh, here. This one, I think. Look at the fire in the back there after the explosion.
That was Shahad that just came out of the sky. Boom, and it just landed.
And then Alex, give us an update on how many injured, or Dnieper.
Well, in Dnieper, this is like now people are not used to it, but this is unexpected because they are so close. And I believe that there's about 7 people in the hospital, and there is some injuries. But I want to say something, that whenever we report the news, or we follow the news that Ukraine makes the strategic hits inside Russia, there are never reports of casualties. There are only reports that they even take pictures that's not far away from people don't get hurt. There are no reports. Whenever they hit us, they hit in the middle of the street to make sure that there are casualties. I mean, look, that's where the joint hit. There could have been elderly people there. There could have been children there. There could have been anything. There could have been a bus there full of people. They don't know where it falls, because like a monkey with a grenade.
Ken,
and
isn't
this is Dnieper. So there's some municipal building damaged. In Odessa, well, when we switched to Odessa,
we're gonna get to Odessa in a second. But isn't this war crimes, Ken? I mean,
yeah, it is.
This is definition of what else is it? I mean,
one of the most upsetting things that I saw in Ukraine over the course of, my many visits, and I saw a lot of upsetting things. I went to Bucha. I interviewed the head pediatrician there, but it was in Dnipro, in the city that we're seeing on the screen right now. When a Russian missile, this wasn't a Shahed, I think was a Kinshal, hit an apartment building. It was in the evening, when everybody was cooking, was at home, and it killed a bunch of kids. There's a playground outside, and across the street from the apartment building, just spontaneously, the residents of Dnipro at a bus stop started. I'm going to get emotional just thinking about it. Started dropping off stuffed animals. And over the coming days and weeks and months, hundreds upon hundreds of animals, stuffed animals, buried this bus stop because they didn't know how else to express themselves. How is that a military target? How is an apartment complex after work, full of families, full of young families with kids, a military target? It's not. And I think if the truth ever comes to light, if there's ever the kind of discovery in the legal sense that we had honestly after World War II, when we looked at the motivations of the Nazis, when we understood exactly what they were trying to do, that when they did things like this, it wasn't an accident. I think we'll find out that civilians are the intended targets. I mean, the UN has already established this in Kherson when they've looked at the human safari campaigns against the residents of Kherson. They have called it a depopulation campaign. I mean, think about that terminology. And it's something that rarely gets used in modern warfare, but the idea that you would use a military to depopulate a, a civilian area is just, it's brutal, it's gruesome, and it is 100% intentional by the Russian military.
And I'm gonna add something else. Remember, when we brought aid to Kryvyi Rog?
Hmm.
Remember in Kryvyi Rog, I was at the place. We even had a live from there, where there was a building, huge 50-story building. I mean, big building, and also Kinjal hit the building, and right across was the playground. And I think he posted it was a bunch of
Yeah, teddy
stuffed
bears,
bears,
bears.
stuffed
Yeah,
animals,
yeah,
and I think it was like
I
something
remember.
over 40. I don't even want to mention the numbers and everything else, but this is same thing happens in every city almost. You just
But
don't hear about every one of them.
by the way, Kryvyi Rog, there's literally nothing of military value there, but
No,
it is
Zero.
on the at the top of Putin's target list because it is Zelensky's hometown.
that's right.
Yes.
And he just has this bloodlust for going after Zelensky and anything associated with Zelensky. And the fact that Zelensky is from Kryvyi Rog means that it is at the top of the target list. There's nothing there except people. There's no military bases. It's not that close to the front line. It's not a strategic choke point or a railroad crossroads or anything like that. But it has Zelensky's name attached to it, so it gets hit disproportionately, which should give you a window into just how brutal Putin's mindset is.
You
You
know,
know,
it's
it's
like
like there is a joke. I'm sorry,
no, go ahead, go ahead.
there is a joke, and it's maybe it's not for jokes, but there is a joke that Putin's aide is talking to one of the reporters, and he says, "What happens in the office?" He says, "Well, what happens if the president of Belarus comes in?" He says, "Well, he starts running." He says he starts running away from him every time he screams at him. He says, "But what happens if he would meet Zelensky?" He says, "Cannot tell you because he can never catch him."
Yeah, Zelensky
So,
is.
so
I
well,
know
listen, it's
they
a
had
little
they
bullet.
thought they had him three. They said they're gonna have him within 3 days. I remember they're coming in. They're gonna get him. They're gonna make him run away. And here we are. It's like the midnight runner. My lawyer used to laugh at my prosecutors. You're never gonna catch the midnight runner. Same thing with Zelensky here. More on a serious note, I want to play. Nick, can you play it? Because what Ken was talking about when you were talking about before, Nick, you play it, is the one of the things that we're talking about again: destruction, hitting buildings. This is, folks, Odessa. This is last night in Odessa. I want you to see. These are buildings, these are people, these are apartment buildings. Take a look and understand the destruction and the difference of what happens when Ukraine is attacking and what happens in Russia. People on the streets,
Civilians,
all
all
civilians.
civilians.
Look at this. Kids.
Kindergarten left. They hit
That's right.
kindergarten.
They're gonna show. We're gonna. I think we have video of that right now. Apartment building. Look at that. Kids on these are people now displaced. They have nowhere to live. Even the ones that survived are now basically.
Lev, can I know we're
Yeah,
short on
please.
time. Can I make
Yeah.
a comment,
No, please go ahead.
which
Please.
might go without saying, and I want you to keep playing the video, and I hope I can talk over it. But
Yes, please go ahead.
the heroism of the air defenders and the first responders. The Russians have a tactic of a double tap strike in which they try to kill the emergency responders. So they'll hit an apartment building, they'll wait till the rescue crews are there, the fire crews are there, and then they'll hit it again. And these guys know it. These men and women who are responding to these disasters know it, and they still rush to the sound of the screams, and they rush into the flames knowing they could be the next target. But the other thing that I've seen close up, and that I don't think we talk about enough, is the heroism of the defenders. I was with an anti-drone gun crew on the outskirts of Odessa just a few months ago, as they were preparing to engage a barrage of drones and missiles coming into their city. And the surreal thing about it was watching the explosions work their way up the coast, because this was a raid launched from Crimea, and the Shaheeds would hit their targets progressively, getting closer and closer and closer. And at one point, one of the gun crew members got a text saying that his neighborhood was hit farther down the coast, and he had to compartmentalize. That's what we call it in the military. He had to bury and
Mm,
suppress his fear and his anxiety. He didn't know if his family was alive, because his job that night was defending other families.
wow.
And they had a few minutes before that wave of Shaheeds got to our position. It turns out his family was safe. He was able to call them after he did his job that night. But the terror of watching those Shaheeds approach, watching them hit civilian communities all along the coast until they got to Odessa, and then probably a 30-second engagement. You wait all night as you track these Shaheeds coming into your position, and then the engagement itself is just a matter of seconds, because they're moving fast, and you have to get them before they cross your position, or they're going to do what we're seeing on the screen right now.
I know, and it's and the crazy part, the one thing you said, I want to just mention. I mean, the heroism. It's like, we talk about when we had 9/11, when we had our, firefighters running in, not running out, trying to save, even though the buildings were falling down, and we remember them every day. It's the same thing here. I mean, the double tap that is not spoken about as much as it should be, but these heroic firefighters, emergency personnel, ambulances are going in there, and while they're going in there, the terroristic attack by Putin, and that's what we're talking about. Is again, these are not facilities. Not only are they hitting these facilities, but then they're double tapping and hitting, killing emergency personnel, and that's what it's called, terroristic attacks. It's not, and you saw the difference, And if you can, just quickly play the video again, just to show the Ukrainian attack on the facility, if you may, if you could show us the difference, what we're seeing again, just to show this the other one, the one where the drone is hitting. Yeah, see, you don't see people running around there, you don't see kids crying, you don't see houses. You see, folks, you don't see any houses, you don't see people, none of that. What you see is strategic drone going in and hitting a strategic facility, not people. And as you could see, there's people all around. I mean, they could also hit a building or not, but you're not seeing that. And that's the important part. And the sick part is our president, and I hate to call him our president, but whatever it is, Trump stands with Putin. And, his hour and a half call with him yesterday was basically not how to stop the war, but again, how to please Putin and his, victory parade. And at the same time, you're going to start seeing more and more of Russia being involved in this whole Iran oil projects, gas projects, Russian oligarchy. And the very interesting part, and we'll end it on that because we're going to talk more about this next week. Is how Russia now, Ken and Alex, are all of a sudden offering the United States, saying, "Why don't we take care of the uranium? Let us control what so you don't have to worry about." And that's not being done as a coincidence. That's being laid out as a plan, because that's part of the plan, because eventually you're going to see Trump come out and say, "Hey, Russia has nukes anyway. What's if this is what it takes, and this is how it's going to go." So we have a lot to discuss, folks. Thank you for joining us. The hour goes quickly. If you could throw up, thank you. That's our Voice of Ukraine. If you guys could come and subscribe, make sure subscriptions are for free, information is for free. Hit the QR code and subscribe to Voice from Ukraine to be able to follow us, give us and if you can, become a paid subscriber, because it helps with keeping this platform and giving you guys all this information from inside out. Also, individually, the Ken Harbaugh Show. Ken does some amazing work. That is his QR code over there. Every day, just snap it right there, and that will take you straight to Ken Harbaugh's Substack. Ken has an amazing Substack where he writes letters besides what he does here on Voice from Ukraine, but he also gives you an inside look from and a lot of different things that you won't be. So hit that with your phones or whatever you can. Get on that QR code and subscribe to Ken, and make sure that if you can, like I said, paid subscriptions help us, because this platform is about independent journalism, and it's all about making sure that we could be able to do this for you nonstop, and we don't have the corporations. And last but not least, our hero, Alexander from Ukraine. This is the Chiron. Go hit on that, Alexander. Give him a follow, give him a paid subscription. A lot of people say, how can we help Alexander personally? Well, go give him a paid subscription. Go give him, and he's going to be starting writing things and doing also personal, giving you. Me and him have been talking, Ken. He has such an archive of things from the war, places he's been for the past. I mean, he's been there from day one, from Bucha, from when I can't even tell you. And I said to him, Alex, you know what you need to start doing for the people? Start doing a little story time with Alexander, and take him from day one and up to now, and start sharing your videos, your stories, and and so people go ahead, sign up. Alexander is building his platform, expanding. If you can, give him a paid subscription, because he's going to be doing some very interesting stories and showing you things that a lot of people have not seen, just like Ken Harbaugh. So from Voice of Ukraine, folks, we'll see you next Tuesday. Unless some breaking news comes out, we'll be here live. Otherwise, Tuesday and Thursdays, you'll always catch us here live, Voice from Ukraine, and we have some special guests lined up, and we'll be talking about all the inside information. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.